Imagine being 13, hooked to an 4 drip, taking 8 injections every single day just to stay alive, yet still dancing through the pain. Now, that same boy commands global stages, leads cultural revivals, and inspires millions. This is not fiction. This is the extraordinary life of Wang Yibo. Welcome to Star Watch Now. If you think you've seen the full story, think again. At the age of 13, most children are busy chasing dreams with boundless energy and unshakable innocence. But for Wang Yibo, life had a cruel interruption. He was diagnosed with myocarditis, a serious heart condition that required immediate and ongoing treatment. Doctors warned that even a slight physical exertion could be fatal. Their advice was clear and urgent: stop dancing. But how do you tell a child that the very thing that gives his life meaning is now off-limits? For Yibo, dance wasn't just a hobby. It was his way of breathing through the chaos, his rhythm when everything else felt uncertain. So he made a decision, one not driven by rebellion, but by sheer determination to hold on to the one thing that made him feel alive. Every day, he underwent 8 painful injections. Each morning began with 4 drips, lab results, and the dull ache of needles piercing fragile veins. And yet, when the clock struck afternoon, he was in the dance studio. His body was exhausted, but his spirit burned fiercely. There were no cameras, no audience, no applause, only discipline, and the silent whisper in his heart that told him to keep going. He practiced with bruised hands and trembling legs, never once asking for pity. His peers often saw him smile, rarely realizing the battles he was fighting just to stand upright. For a boy who was told he might not survive strenuous movement, every spin, every step, every beat was a quiet act of defiance, a personal vow to never let circumstance define him. Wang Yibo didn't wait for conditions to improve or for life to become fair. He moved forward despite the pain, despite the risk, and despite the lack of recognition. He taught us that perseverance isn't always loud or glamorous. Sometimes, it looks like a teenager, hidden in the corner of a rehearsal room, choosing resilience over rest. That boy, once tethered to hospital beds and buried beneath doubt, didn't just survive. He rose. And in rising, he reminded the world that courage is not the absence of fear or pain, but the decision to dance anyway. Long before the spotlight found him, Wang Yibo was merely a shadow on the screen, present, yet almost invisible. As a regular cast member on the popular variety show Day Up, he was technically part of the main lineup, but in reality, he barely existed in the eyes of the audience. His appearances were fleeting, his lines minimal, and his presence often overlooked. Viewers would comment online, asking who the quiet boy in the corner was, if they noticed him at all. He was there every week but somehow not seen. Yet what the cameras failed to capture was what truly defined him. After each taping, when the crew had packed up and the stage lights had dimmed, Wang Yibo would remain behind. In the emptiness of the studio, long after laughter had faded, he practiced. Alone. Over and over again, he rehearsed his dance moves, drilled his posture, refined his timing. Not for a scene, not for a performance, but simply because he believed in getting better, even when no one was watching. There was no guarantee his efforts would pay off. No promise that producers would ever notice. No assurance that fans would remember his face. But he did it anyway, not out of ambition, but out of a quiet, relentless sense of discipline. While others chased fame with fanfare, he chose preparation over praise, self-mastery over momentary attention. What's remarkable is that he never complained, never once tried to force his way into the frame. He simply stayed the course, trusting that his time would come, not through noise or gimmicks, but through authenticity and consistent growth. It's in those late-night hours, dancing with no audience, that the foundation for his greatness was quietly laid. When fame finally arrived, many assumed it was overnight success. But those who looked closer saw the truth. It was the accumulation of forgotten hours, silent rooms, and invisible effort. Wang Yibo, once the ghost on camera, became the star who didn't demand to be seen. He earned it, inch by inch, in the shadows. And in doing so, he showed us that real power often begins in the places no one is paying attention to. When fame finally arrived at Wang Yibo's door, it came not with warning, but with weight. After years of quiet struggle, his breakout role in the Untamed transformed him from an overlooked performer into a household name across Asia. Almost overnight, he became a media sensation, adored by millions and pursued by every brand, show, and sponsor imaginable. It was the kind of fame that tempts most into chasing more. More money, more exposure, more influence. But Wang Yibo chose a different path. He didn't rush toward the limelight. He stepped back and asked himself what kind of person he wanted to become. In a world where celebrity often equates to visibility, he moved with quiet intention. While many used their newfound popularity to amplify their image, Yibo quietly donated part of his salary to disaster relief. During the catastrophic floods in Hunan, he didn't post selfies in rescue gear or hold a press conference. Instead, he showed up in the middle of the night, carrying boxes of supplies through waist-deep water, his face obscured, his presence humble. When onlookers recognized him and tried to take photos, he gently declined. This wasn't about being seen, it was about being useful. Later, it was revealed that he had personally contributed 3.3 million yuan to the cause. He never made a statement about it, never sought credit. For him, goodness was not a brand to market, but a value to live by. In this way, he began to redefine what it meant to be a public figure. He wasn't just a performer adored on stage. He became a symbol of integrity off it. Wang Yibo's quiet acts of compassion reminded people that fame is not a license for entitlement, but an opportunity for service. He showed that influence can be wielded not through noise or drama, but through action and heart. He didn't just inspire fans. He challenged them to look beyond the image, to see the substance. He reminded the world that a true idol is not the one most adored, but the one who carries the most dignity when no one is watching. In doing so, he became not just an idol but a role model in the most human sense. Did you know Wang Yibo is also a championship motorcycle racer? Days before a crucial race in 2019, he fell during practice, fracturing his shoulder blade. The doctors told him to withdraw. Instead, he asked for a sealing injection and took to the track with a cracked bone and a steel will. He won. Round pushpin, he didn't win because he was the fastest. He won because he refused to stop moving forward. Wang Yibo is more than just a performer. He's become a bridge between ancient culture and modern youth. He funded 30 master craftsmen to restore the ancient Dunhuang murals using mineral pigments. Then, he created an AR experience allowing young people to see those murals dance through their phones. One of his skateboard designs is now housed in the British Museum. Globe showing Asia-Australia, he's not only preserving tradition, he's reimagining it for a new generation. So why are millions of fans across the US, Korea, Japan, France, Australia, and beyond drawn to Wang Yibo? It's not just his face, not just the fame, it's the fight. It's the humility. It's the relentless choice to keep doing good, even when no one is watching. He's the kind of star who walks into a storm, not for the applause, but for the people stranded in the rain. From the child who survived on 8 injections a day, to the global icon who inspires hearts across continents, Wang Yibo is living proof that courage isn't loud, but it echoes far. And now, millions stand ready to walk with him. Not because he shines in the spotlight, but because he chose to shine in the dark. If the story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Backhand index pointing right, hit the like button. Backhand index pointing right, leave us a comment with your favorite Yibo moment. Backhand index pointing right, and subscribe to Star Watch now for more untold journeys behind your favorite Asian stars. Glowing Star, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay inspired.